Welcome to From Head to Heart and Home. We are so excited to have you here today to listen to our conversation. This is a channel created by women, empowering women to take intentional action in creating the life they want, with your hosts, Carla Center, subconscious healer and relationship coach, and myself, Shanda Soretti, certified transformational coach. Welcome, welcome. Today is a very, very special day as we celebrate our 1 year anniversary with episode 52. Right, Carla?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I just, first of all, Carla, want to say thank you so much for creating such an authentic, vulnerable, and supportive channel with me. I love you to the moon, and I'm just so grateful that we get to create this wonderful opportunity for our listeners. So before we dive in, um, actually, let me pass the baton to you for a second and let me just open it up for celebration on your end. I kind of said what I wanted to. Is there anything you want to add to our little celebratory festival today?
In looking back through all of our videos and what we've been through, I appreciate you so much and the not only the insight and knowledge, but the heart that you've shared in this. And I love that we've been able to just come up with a topic right before we do
Mm,
a video and share with others to make a difference in their lives. And there is a lot. Like, we have shared a lot. It's amazing, and I'm so grateful that we get to create something so beautiful to share with our listeners, and that you and I haven't just, like, gone on this, "Let's script something out," and we've
right.
just, from a place of love and compassion and sharing who we are with others, created something so beautiful. So I really appreciate it. Like, it
Mhm.
means a lot.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I mean, I think it's really special too that we don't script things out necessarily. Some people would argue that, but I think it's just one of the beautiful things that we have in creating this. And this is one of the rare ones where not that we've scripted something out, but we've actually gone back and reviewed all of our videos over the last year. And I want to say, like, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time or the second time, go back because there's so much. Like, we have created a lot in this past year, from leadership, parenting, relationships, love, goals, action taking, fear, confidence, self-care, and literally everything in between, right? And along the way, we always add lots of personal stories and vulnerable sharing, life experience, many actionable tools and coaching along the way, not to mention the plethora of like new ideas and concepts to prime your brain for a new start. So today we wanted to take a moment by acknowledging and sharing this milestone with you, with our listeners, and just say thank you for being here with us on this journey, right? You are what makes this whole thing possible. Every time you hit any button, every time you click to tune in and listen with us, you make this possible. So we appreciate every comment, every like, and every share. Okay, so today we thought it would be kind of special to do like a year in review. Okay. So that is what this is today. We're looking back over the past year. And in doing the research for today, some of the things that I was able to pull out were some of the fan favorites. And I pulled the top three, but there were a ton. And it's funny because they even the range of what the favorites were are so beautiful. So things like letting go, right? Being a foundational part of moving forward. Manifesting our physical pain was another one, which is all about trapped energy and emotions in our body. And then the third one was how less is more, right? So we got into like the intentions behind our actions. So I'm not sure what you got to discover, Carla, when you were doing your research and your digging, but I'd love to just kind of open it up to share some of what those moments were for you, what you noticed, what stuck out for you, and just see where this goes.
Well, we absolutely talked a lot about earning being enough. That was one of the things, like, in so many different subjects, like, Our actions, so our channels from head to heart and home, and our actions a lot have been from our heads, right? Many
Mm,
of us, we're trying to earn being enough. And as I came across a lot of it, like being enough was in many of them.
mm,
And I find that often with my clients. We found it in ourselves, and how we get in our head and out of our heart in those moments. And to see that, and how even that little thing, realizing what are my intentions behind my actions, and does it have to do with something with being enough? And hearing that in our videos, like I was so like, I can't wait to hear from our listeners how they've realized the shift in their actions because they've noticed the patterns and where they've come from their head instead of from their heart, and it had to do with being enough. And so that was one of the things that I saw throughout the videos, that I was like, even if somebody just got that,
mm.
the transformation they could have in their life is huge. And so that was one of the things that I kept coming up with, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like again, so everybody who's listening, like we actually went back and dove into all of the hours of content that we've put out there. And there's a lot. Like there's
Yes.
not 52 hours yet, but we are getting up there for sure. There's at least 25 hours of content and
Right.
actionable pieces, and not necessarily like advice or anything like that, but our personal experience where we've been able to kind of turn it into a coaching moment for people for who are listening, right? And so I have to say, like, if I was to look at our overall theme, like what you said, like this worthiness for kind of what we speak to, the theme of our channel is from head to heart and home. So how to get out of your head to get into your heart, to come home to your whole self, right? So like
Right.
for me, what comes up is this piece around authenticity. And for me, authenticity really means like that self-love, loving who you are no matter what that looks like from moment to moment. And so it's a whole self connection or reconnection, right? And one of my most favorite things that I do with myself and with my clients is parts work, and that's an NLP tool. So any of you who are interested in that, you can go look that up. And many coaches out there use it. And it's addressing the parts of you, all the different parts of you, and learning how to get them on the same page to realign them. Like there's parts of us that we wish we didn't have. There's parts of us that we ignore. There's parts of us we don't accept and haven't, found space to or capacity to be able to hold space for. And so it's learning to kind of bring all of our pieces together and love them all, no matter how they're showing up. And as a result of this type of work, right, what Carl and I are always sharing here, it's the process of who you become to be the person who creates powerful results like this,
Right.
right? And really transforming your life through taking the action and doing the work messy and imperfect and commit with committed action, and inspired
Right.
action.
Right. And that's beautiful. And how we give the information in this about stepping through the fear and creating all of those things that are authentically you, and you have stepped away from, like Shanda said, the parts, and parts work is, you guys, it's beautiful if
Mm,
you're ever wanting to do it. So step away from all the things that are not you, that are not part of you, but you are doing for whatever reason, whatever created it, your past patterns, traumas, or whatever, and coming back to that authentic whole self that's you. And just knowing that, like, we don't just sit there and it comes to us. We do have to take committed action. And through all these videos, we give you all these actionable things that you can do to help you on that journey, and just be like, okay, what is authentically me? What is this? If I step back and look and am aware of my behavior, what is not me? What doesn't feel aligned or who I am and what am I creating in my life. Let me take the leadership and ownership and accountability for what I'm created in my life and be like, ooh, that really wasn't me. I can look and possibly see what it's about, but maybe I don't even need to. Maybe I can just say, I'm aware of this and I'm going to move forward and I'm going to create that life that I've always dreamed of because I don't have to be all of this that's not me. I get to be my whole self.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And when you talk about the ownership piece of like really stepping into 100% responsibility, taking ownership of what you've created in your life, that is a hard concept. I remember for most of us, and for some of us, we may have blocks around certain things that we never get over, right? We never
Right.
are able to heal. And so if you're having a hard time in seeing your part in everything that you've created in your life, you're still kind of in that disbelief stage. My encouragement and sorry, my thing that I would offer you is that you're simply just not at that point yet to do the healing there. There are some steps that get to happen before you get to the place where you're like, okay, I'm now at least willing to entertain the idea that maybe I had a part in this. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with you. You're
No.
absolutely normal. You're very human. And in fact, you're so human and you're doing your humanness the best that you possibly can. Okay. And so it's funny. It's like, I think sometimes we think that coaching and doing this work is like learning to like unhumanize ourselves, like how to not be human, but it's kind of the opposite. It's like learning how to be a human the best way that we can. So it's like going to like the school for being human. Like how do we navigate these things? Because we're never going to be perfect. We're never going to operate from like the highest capacity, the highest capability all the time in every situation in our entire lives. It's that's I that would be great. Maybe we will get there one day, but that's not where we're at right now, right? And so again, I want to come back to like learning to accept ourselves as we are, not playing favorites with certain parts of ourselves and
Right.
not avoiding other parts because it's that push and pull, like that I'm going to bring these parts closer, but then push the other parts away. It's that separation that creates the discomfort and the pain within ourselves. And it's from that pain within that ripples outward and creates the things around us. So, in case you were on the fence about how do we create these things in our lives, that's it right there, right? Whatever's happening internally, we then go create externally. Everything is a mirror, inside, outside, right?
Right. And if we learn to have, we say this often, 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 compassion and love, not only towards others, but towards ourselves, that's how you learn to accept all of those parts. And
Yeah.
so what I was saying had nothing to do with separating yourself. And that's the beauty of learning to be like, okay, this is part of me. And maybe my judgment of it is that it's not perfect, but
Mm,
that doesn't mean it's wrong. And getting in that good, bad, right, wrong polarity of things is one of the things that we talk about often, that and we use it against ourselves, not only others, but against ourselves. And so in listening to this, to everything that like Shanda was just saying, really like come in and be like, I can look at myself without judging myself as right or wrong. I can
mhm.
be compassionate and loving towards who I am. Like, think of yourself as a puzzle. Like, puzzles are not complete alone. And that's we're not in this world to be complete and perfect. And we do talk about things often that it's connection with others and we can create together. And as long as you are judging yourself and not seeing that maybe the things that you think are imperfect about you are the way they are so that you can work with somebody else to create something more beautiful than you ever could have alone.
Yeah.
And that's part of the like, I am something special just on who I am. And
Mm,
every piece of me, maybe I don't like it or somebody's told me this is wrong about me. But if I take the judgment out of it If I just say, I'm beautiful in who I am, messy, when I take a forward step towards my goal, when I learn to accept that I'm this whole amazing being with all those different parts of me, I can I can create so much more in my life when I'm not being so critical of who I am or striving to prove that I'm enough. Instead, I'm going to step forward into what I want to create in this world and what
Mhm.
I want in my life and not go, okay, well, I'm not good enough for this. So I'm not even going to try my goals, which we
Mm.
talk about often. Messy, messy action, right? You step through and you're like, ooh, we expect ourselves to be like a baby just takes its first step and is running across the room. And we talk about that in our video, like, um, you can take little steps, you can trip, but you learn from it. If we take these things and see, we talk about the beauty in things and the
Mm.
gratitude. And if you see the beauty in each step that creates the end result you're looking for, instead of jumping from here to there, and you see that I took all these little steps and it led to where I wanted to be. And instead of judging each step with how perfect it was, I thought, I'm one step closer to where I want to be on this thing.
Mhm.
Is it messy? Maybe. Did I stumble? Maybe. But that's because I'm going forward instead of just sitting here. What are all the things that I need to happen for this to be perfect, for me to get there, for me to just be good enough? But took the little steps to go forward and like celebrated, grateful for the stumbling moments because it taught me something to do the next step.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Like I was listening to one of my mentors' podcasts and she was talking about running in place versus
Mhm.
running somewhere, right? And it's like when we run in place, we don't get any feedback from that. But
Right.
if we run somewhere, even if we run in the wrong direction, we then know it's the wrong direction. So we get feedback on how to proceed with the next step and the next step and the next step. So sure, you might be headed in the wrong direction, but you're still getting that feedback. Whereas if you're running in place, you're never going to get anywhere. Right. And I just
Right.
love that so much. So, um, and I love the what you were saying too about this right and wrong concept, right? It's absolutely when we get to that place of creating making things right and wrong, we it's almost like this ammo that we use against us and others. And so the question that I would ask there is how can we let go of that right and wrong and use that situation or those situations that are at hand for us rather than against us, right? For our evolution. Like what can we
Right.
learn through that process? And you were also talking about purpose, right? And your purpose is simply to exist, right? So you're already doing it perfectly. You're here,
Right.
you're existing, right? Everything else is gravy. Everything else
Right.
is the sprinkles on top, right? We all bring something unique by being who we are to this world, right? We bring those unique gifts. So give those gifts, offer those gifts to the world just by being yourself. And all it requires there, and I say all, but is required of you there is just to follow your heart, right? And we talk so much about following your heart, following your desires, taking that inspired action because that's the path to authenticity. Those are the breadcrumbs that will lead you to fulfilling the desires, right? So that you can create that deep sense of inner peace and inner fulfillment of doing the things that you're here to do in life. And, you know, it ranges for everybody too. Some people's fulfillment comes from being that entrepreneur that has a bazillion dollars that can donate to all these charities and creates amazing programs for people to utilize. Other people, it might be something that's very different, but by being like a stay-at-home mom and supporting her family to nurture and raise her kids in a specific way, it like there's no right and wrong again. So letting go of how we're doing it. Is this the right way? Is this the wrong way? How am I screwing it up? And it's like, what if the possibility were it's never I'm screwing it up? It's always I'm doing it exactly as I'm supposed to be doing it, even if it's messy, sloppy, doesn't feel good, confusing, all the things, because we can easily look back to our past and say, I wish this was different. I wish I could change that. But the past happened the way it was supposed to. And the proof is that it already happened. We can't change it. That is the proof. That's all that we need to know. We can create what we want in our future, right? But the past is done. So everything that unfolds, everything that takes place is meant to happen that way to bring you to those aha moments, the lessons, and those pivotal moments of choice where you get to allow transformation to unfold in your life.
Right, right. And if you treat it all as feedback instead of the right or wrong, and we do talk about this, that it's part of your learning process, right? If you think about all the stuff that you learn in life, if you think of your past as those were learning opportunities, got me exactly where I was meant to be, like Shanna just said, instead of this was right, this was wrong, this was right, but as a learning, like we are continuously learning and expanding if we choose to do so. It is a choice if we choose to do so. And if we just look at it as I'm not going to treat this as right or wrong. I'm going to just like look at it. Where are the learning opportunities in it? And I'm going to let it go because that's where I was. That's where I was at that moment. And it's if I treat it as good or bad, I'm stuck in this spot of what's good and bad. What am I gonna, you know, be critical of myself on or others and keep stuck? Or am I gonna be like, okay, this is a learning opportunity. I get to let the energy go and just learn because we are always learning. That's part of the expansion of who we are, and that's part of the beauty of life is you're always learning. It's not just this stagnant
Right.
thing if we allow it
Right.
to be a learning experience.
Yeah. And like that is life. Life is just practicing, right? Like it's funny. So I have a 9-year-old, and anybody who has children, you know that there are moments when you're like, oh my goodness, like this is a new thing, or we haven't had to deal with this yet, or whatever. And so last weekend, I think it was, there was a moment, and I looked at my partner and we just kind of said to each other, we were like, this is new to me. I like almost like I don't know what to do. And I was like, yeah, this is new to me too. I've never had a 9-year-old going through this thing, right? So we're always learning. And that's the beautiful thing. And like Carla was saying about being stuck, the antidote to being stuck is moving. It's literally moving somewhere, moving anywhere, but moving, right? Not staying stuck in place, not running in spot, taking a step forward, a step to the side, a step backwards, but moving, because every time we move and take action, we learn, right? And so you move, you get the feedback, you learn from the feedback, you try again, and then you rinse and repeat. That is how you create traction in any goal, any desire, anything you're trying to create in your life is simply by taking those, I think there's 4 steps there, right? And then keep trying over and over. It's like sometimes we want the answers, right? Well, how do you do that? And it's like, how do you think you would do it? Like, what would you try? It's all a guessing game, really, like to a point. It's all trial and error. My coach was saying, and I thought this was brilliant. She's like, you make a hypothesis. And the greatest thing about a hypothesis is that it doesn't have to be right, right? You test it. And if it's right, you keep doing it, right? If it works, sorry, not if it's right. I'll take back that word. If it works, we keep doing it. If it doesn't work, we readjust and
Right.
repeat.
Right. And then and during all of that, you don't go, oh well, this was a mess up and I can't move forward and I quit. And
Mm,
that's one of the things that we continuously try and guide you and lead you through the fact that sometimes things are not happening the way you expect them. The unknown is different. It's not your comfort zone. And the beauty is like the learning, like I was just talking about what Shanda was talking about. Okay, you have the hypothesis, and we were all taught that in school. You have a
mhm.
hypothesis, you test it. That's how the scientists create new things, right? They don't go, oh, this was wrong, then I give up. They go,
Right.
okay, I learned this from this thing. Maybe it didn't turn out the way I thought it would, but I learned something from it. Where am I going to go from here?
Yep.
And that's why we share something different each week, because we're sharing different spots, because you all might be in different places in your life.
Mm.
And something's going to really resonate with you, and other stuff you're just not ready for. And maybe later you're going to look through that video that you thought that just really isn't, clicking for me. But later it may really be the one that clicked for you,
Yep.
because Shanda and we are not in the same place we were when we started this,
Mm.
guaranteed. And as I look through it, you can really see our growth and evolution in this, because we were willing to step into a space where we had vulnerable conversations with you that weren't over planned, that weren't like, don't say this, don't say that, where we just let it flow and create something from our hearts, instead of being so in our heads that we hoped that you saw our heart somewhere underneath it all.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, for those of you who have been with us for a while or since the beginning, um, you know, hopefully you can see or use this channel as an example of what the healing journey is like. And right, like Carla just said, even we've evolved over the year 100%, like hands down. Every year I am evolving, I am changing, and so is Carla. And that's what we want for you. We want you to
Right.
keep learning and keep growing, right? And that's exactly what this channel has done. It has evolved, right? It has changed, and we were just willing to step in, like Carla said, and do it messy, just because we knew that this would serve people wherever they're at. And
Right.
I'm constantly referring people, hey, go check out this episode, go check out this episode, specifically with clients, right? Who might need to go a little bit deeper on certain ideas or concepts. And it works beautifully. So it's just this supportive place to come to learn different techniques, tools, tactics, ideas,
Right.
experiences. And so, like, I would love to know, what are your favorites? Like, what have been some of your favorite episodes? Feel free to share that. And what would you like to learn more about? Because
Right.
we're open, right? Like, we'll
Yes.
talk about like anything other than, I would say, politics or like religion. We're kind of
Right.
open
Right.
about whatever, right? I mean, it's on the healing path, clearly, because that's why we're doing this. Um, but if there are some ideas or concepts that even we've shared already, but you're like, can you go deeper on this? Let us know. We would love to be able to support you on that. And in saying that, Carla, is there anything else that you want to share? I mean, today was really about like highlighting and celebrating this
Mhm.
anniversary for this channel, right? So, is there anything else that you want to add, or how do you feel now?
I feel complete, and I want to remind you all that there are action steps in pretty much every video. I can't think of one that didn't have an action step. So if there's something in your life that is like playing on your heart, go find that video, because
Yeah.
there is not only experience and knowledge in them, there are actionable steps that can support you in that space. And like Shanda said, if you guys are going through something and there's something that you would like a video on, reach out, because between the two of us, I'm sure there is a plethora of knowledge and experience and actionable steps that we could give you to make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. There's so much in each episode, and they range, like I shared at the beginning, from leadership to love to family to energy. Like, just go through, you kind of can get an idea based on the title of each one, what we're kind of going to be unfolding. So thank you all for tuning in today with Carla and I and celebrating with us. Feel free to drop your love in the comment
Yes.
below. And all of that said, our channel really encompasses the theme of getting out of your head and into your heart, into your body, where you can truly transform your life and live a life of freedom, of love, connection, and authenticity. So we truly, truly appreciate all your support, all your love, and we encourage you to subscribe, to like, and to share this channel. so that we can support others who are on their healing journey and look for and are sorry, who are looking for a supportive and impactful resource along the way. So, if you want extra support in something specific, then reach out to us and we would love to connect with you one-on-one and continue that conversation. So, be sure to join us next week for another authentic, connected conversation. Bye for now.